Hey, GenderqueerChat, Joe here. It is Sunday, April the 14th, and I don't think we have a topic this week, so I'm just going to randomly pick one off of our kind of half list that we've created. And it might be triggering. I just want to warn some people. I'm not 100% sure. But the topic that I want to deal with is how do you deal with harassment and mockery and this type of thing. I don't think we've ever done this one on the channel before. And I don't even really know how I'm going to answer it because I think things have changed over the years. Oh, it's windy. I think historically I have been one of those people who just freezes when horrible things happen. I just go numb and I go completely still and I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do and I don't usually react at all. And I guess ignoring a problem sometimes is the best way to deal with it. Just keep walking or whatever and not deal with it. In recent years, I've become more confrontational. It's still not in my nature to be like an asshole. Like I don't just start screaming at people with, witty comebacks when they harass me. But I'm just trying to think of the last time I was not harassed, but I remember the last time that a situation came up when my coworker, they were passing out things at work. It was a positive space training day, and they had said that they were passing out a sheet that said, gay kids are 5 times more likely to commit suicide than straight kids. And I was sitting in between my boss and my coworker, and my coworker said, "Good, less of them." And my boss laughed. And I have a recollection, it's been a while, but I have a recollection of doing nothing and saying nothing. Like just being horrified and not even reacting because really, what the fuck do you say to that? Now, in retrospect, I know I would definitely speak up now. I do believe I would. However, I don't know. People are different. People don't know how they're going to react in a situation until they're there. As an aside, I used to be the first aid person at work, and I took the course, and I remember the lady saying in the first aid course, "Don't worry, when the situation presents itself, you'll just snap into action. You'll just know what to do instinctively." And a couple years ago, a guy at work, a particular asshole, he's a motherfucking asshole, he fell really hard. I heard him fall down the hallway. And it didn't even dawn on me to help him. And I can't even believe I'm saying this on air, but I remember I quit being the first aid person after that because I thought I don't have it in me sometimes to snap into action the way I should. And I don't know if that was because I think it was because he was an asshole and I didn't like him. I'm a terrible person. I'm the first one to admit it. But I also know just from, I was in a car accident twice, and once we witnessed an accident and once I was in an accident, and I just got still, and that's just what I do. I don't know how to react in crises sometimes. As I said, in more recent years, I think I've got a better sense of what I would do or say. Sometimes when things come up, specifically at work seems to be the place where it happens most often. I tend to be the person that I am, the person you see before you, is always relatively kind and relatively I love to explain things to people. I think I'm just a natural born teacher. So if somebody were to say something really transphobic or homophobic or, a personal slight towards me, I think I would very gently explain the differences between, the gender binary and people who are non-binary oriented. I think I would take it as a teaching opportunity. I don't tend to get too upset or too mad about things. I don't fly off the handle. I don't have a hot temper, that kind of thing. If anything, I err on the side of not doing anything at all. How do you deal with harassment? Mockery is a different one because people who mock have a right to their opinion. They, I think if people think, that's just the word ugly comes to mind. Like if someone were to call me ugly or think I was ugly, they're entitled to that opinion. I think certain people are ugly. I think babies are ugly. A lot of babies that a lot of people think are cute. So, I mean, you really do have a right to your opinion. Now, is it hurtful? It can be considered hurtful, especially if you choose to take it as a hurtful. Here's a situation that came up recently. My neighbor, I don't know if I was telling you guys on the channel, but I had these people who live next door were like, this girl was a train wreck, and she abandoned all her animals, and I had to rehome 9 animals about a month ago, including 2 guinea pigs, a rabbit, 4 budgies, 2 turtles. I was taking care of her cat and her Komodo dragons or whatever they were, iguanas. Anyway, over the months I've known her, I have a very soft spot in my heart for her, even though she's a complete and utter train wreck. And I gave her money, I gave her groceries. I mean, she was just always, something was wrong, and I always took compassion on her, because I know what it feels like to have your boyfriend walk out on you, and I know what it feels like to have no groceries in the house and stuff like that. So my heart is kind, and I felt compassion towards her. My landlord just told me the other day that she used to call and complain about me all the time. And I was horrified and mortified, and my first instinct was hurt. I felt very hurt that I had been so kind to her and she backstabbed me. And then the next instinct was, well, she's a train wreck, and you can't expect a train wreck to act any other way than a train wreck. That is, I think I'm pretty good at accepting people for what they are. I don't take things terribly personally overall. So even though she was bad-mouthing me, it would have been anybody. She would have been bad-mouthing anybody. I think she's just that kind of a person, and I don't think it was too personal. And I think I'm very lucky that I am able to do that. I used to bartend years ago, and I met a woman who had lost her kids. Like, most women don't lose custody of their kids unless they're real train wrecks. And I remember her telling me she used to get in bar fights all the time, bar brawls, and then she went to court-mandated anger management, and she'd completely changed. And when I knew her, she was a lovely person. And I said, what happened? And she said, anger management. And she goes, it worked. And I said, yeah, clearly it did, because I know anger management teaches people sometimes the techniques that I think sometimes come a little more naturally to me, which is not to take things terribly personally. I used to have a book called It's Not Personal. It was an anger management book that I gave to my then boyfriend, and he ripped it in pieces and threw the pieces at me. But anyway, I ended up rebuying that book for myself, because I remember thinking I had problems dealing with anger because I internalized it, because I just shut down. And that's as bad as blowing up, right? Dealing with anger. And I think all the years I smoked didn't help. Like, when you're angry and you just shove a cigarette in your mouth, that's just what you do. You just learn to cram. So, I mean, it's a lifelong battle to learn how to cope with anger, and to cope with what to say and what to do when people's anger is directed towards you. At this point in my life, I don't take other people's opinions terribly seriously. I don't believe it really has anything to do with me. And if it does, they're entitled to their opinion anyway. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try and find, did we get bonus questions? Favorite vacationing spot. Let's do that one. I've been everywhere. I don't know if you guys know this. I've been to 49 states, 9 provinces, 2 territories. Some of the places that stick out in my mind. I've been everywhere in North America. I should justify that. I have not been worldwide. There is a place in northern BC, right on the Yukon border, and it's hell to get to, but it's totally worth the drive. It's called Liard Hot Springs. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. It's a natural hot springs in the middle of a very crazy wooded wilderness. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're in northern Canada, and you've driven 24 hours roughly from Vancouver to get to where you are. You've driven for 24 hours to get to where you are. And it's up the Alaska Highway. It's beautiful. Liard, Liard, if you ever want to get a chance to go there. Another one that springs to mind was the Redwood Forest in California. Algonquin Park in Ontario. These are all wilderness. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a massive, massive wilderness junkie. I love camping. And I love a bonfire, and I love that type of thing. I guess if I was going to go with cheese ball vacation spot, I love Vegas. I'll admit it. I've been to Vegas, I don't know, 5 times or something. I love Vegas. It's cheesy and just the right speed. Where else? Oh my God, I could talk for hours about this subject. Liard is the first thing that pops in my mind. Redwoods, Algonquin. I'm repeating myself, I know. New Orleans. I've been to New Orleans many times to do Katrina cleanup, and it's not actually a tourist destination so much as it is a disaster zone, but it's really something to see. I would suggest if you are American, although if you're American, you probably know that American cities have been declining for decades, and most American cities are completely a disaster. But New Orleans is a particular disaster because when the hurricane hit, it wiped out the poorest of the poor neighborhoods, and nobody really rebuilt them for years and years, and even now they're just partially rebuilt. And when 9/11 hit, all the whiteys who lost something in the terrorist attack got $1 million each. And the average, I think, New Orleans resident was black and poor and got something like $3,000 because the insurance companies dicked them around and said, I met this one lady and her house was torn in half by the hurricane. And the insurance company, she had, I think, flood insurance, but the insurance company said it was wind damage. And if you had wind insurance, the insurance company would say it was flood damage. Like, it was just a big crock of shit. And it impacted so many thousands and thousands of people. And it was heartbreaking. And it's really something to see. I think it's important to not be blind to things that go on in the world around us, you know. I do spend my vacation sometimes doing stuff like that. Okay, I've yapped for a long time now about vacation. Hope you guys enjoy the week. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.